Nou mense, Japie hier so, ek wil net nog 'n kort video doen. Ek wil weer die saak van tattoos aanraak. Ek dink dit is baie belangrik. Ek wil vir julle 'n stuk van hierdie video speel. Dis blijkbaar 'n getuienis van iemand wat dood was en weer teruggekom het, wat tattoos gehad het. En wat Yahushua vir hom gesê het daaroor. Ja, ek het al 'n video gemaak oor tattoos en narre. Jy kan net gaan kyk as jy wil. Daar is iets anders daar ook op. Ek wil net gou die 2 verse vir julle lees. 1 Korintiërs 3:17. If anyone defiles the temple of Yahuwah, Yahuwah will destroy him, for the temple of Yahuwah is holy, which temple you are. So jy kan nie doen in jou liggaam en met jou liggaam wat jy wil nie. As jy 'n gelowige is, dan behoort jy aan Yahuwah. Dan is jy sy tempel. Dan kan jy ook nie goed gaan skryf op jou tempel, net soos jy wil nie. So jy kan nie net gaan tattoo skryf soos jy wil nie. En dis ook om ons lees in Levitikus 19:28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor tattoo any marks on you. I am Yahuwah. So, jy mag niks op jou tattoo nie. Vir geen rede nie. Die gebooie sê so. En jy is veronderstel om die gebooie te onderhou. En jy gaan nou hoor met hierdie video, daar's redes hoekom Yahuwah hierdie gebooie vir ons gee. Hy sê snaaks of probeer lewe vir ons moeiliker maak, hè. Hy doen dit vir ons eie beskerming. Hy doen dit want hy is lief vir ons. Dis hoekom hy hierdie gebooie vir ons gee. En as jy dit gehoorsaam is, dan spaar jy jouself baie verdriet. Kom ons kyk gou wat gedeelte van hierdie video. Waar is dit nou? Is hierdie nou? Ek gaan nie hierdie images die hele tyd wys, dit van hulle is so vir my nice nie. Ek gaan maar net dit speel, dat julle net kan hoor.
Some tattoos are born of pain, some of pride, some of ignorance, but all are visible in the spirit, both to heaven and to hell. That last sentence gripped me like ice, because I suddenly realized not every design was just ink. Some were spiritual invitations, and some bore allegiance to things we don't even recognize. And Jesus said, now you must see what the enemy sees. Now you must see what the enemy sees. The realm around us darkened, not in evil, but in exposure. Jesus hadn't changed. His light still radiated beside me, but the space we entered now revealed something I never wanted to see. He lifted his hand, and suddenly, I could see into the spiritual realm that surrounds the physical one. What I witnessed broke me. I saw people, ordinary believers, walking down streets, sitting in churches, even praying. But on many of them, certain tattoos glowed with a faint, flickering energy. Some gave off confusion, others pride. Some even pulsed with sorrow or anger. And I saw shadows clinging to those marks, not demons possessing them, but permissions attached to them. These weren't cartoon villains. These were ancient, intelligent spirits, legalistic, precise, patient, waiting, feeding. Some tattoos acted like beacons, a symbol they had chosen in ignorance that happened to be rooted in occult history, pagan worship, or even direct rebellion. And though these believers loved Jesus, they had unknowingly opened doors. I saw one young man with a lion tattoo. He said it was for courage, but in the spirit realm, it mimicked a tribal sigil used in blood oaths centuries ago. That mark gave darkness a foothold in his bloodline, access that was never revoked. I saw a woman with a snake tattoo she'd gotten ironically as a teenager. It was stylized, artistic, but in the spirit, I saw it twist every time she tried to worship. A spiritual serpent, mocking her as she lifted her hands. I was horrified. Lord, they didn't know. I didn't know. Jesus looked at me, not with rage, but with deep pain. My people perish for lack of knowledge. He said, not all marks carry curses, but some carry covenants. And covenants do not expire just because you forget them. That truth hit like a stone to the chest. And then he showed me something worse. I saw influencers, believers with large followings, showing off faith-based tattoos, online crosses, Bible verses, Hebrew words, but some were rooted in false doctrine or copied from spiritual sources that twisted scripture. Their followers copied them, thinking it was harmless. Thousands more bore those marks in imitation, unaware they were duplicating a design born in compromise. Jesus spoke again. They think it's art, but heaven sees agreement. I could barely breathe. He reached toward me, and suddenly I saw my own tattoos again, but now through demonic eyes. The dove which I had thought represented peace was mocked by a spirit of religion. My Hebrew word, hesed, intended to represent God's love, was faintly distorted because I had taken it from a mystic site I never researched. But the worst was the small abstract symbol on my ankle, something I had copied from a graphic online. I didn't even remember what it meant. Jesus showed me the original version of it. It was a sigil used in ancient rites for self-will and spiritual independence. That symbol had become a silent agreement in my life, one I didn't even know I'd made. I fell on my face. Lord, I didn't mean to. I didn't know. His voice was firm but kind. You are not condemned, but you must be cleansed. Then he reached out with his hand of fire and touched the air above my heart. Now I will show you how heaven marks what is mine. Now I will show you how heaven marks what is mine. When Jesus spoke those words, a wave of purity passed through me. Not a feeling, not emotion. It was a cleansing, like every cell of my soul had been washed in light. And then he opened the next vision. I saw people, not just Christians, but true disciples, those fully surrendered. Their bodies didn't glow because of perfection. They glowed because of possession. They belonged to him. And unlike the earthly tattoos I had seen earlier, these people bore no ink, but they radiated marks, spiritual ones, etched not on skin, but on the soul. These weren't symbols of rebellion or self-expression. They were seals of obedience. One bore a mark of intercession, and I saw demons flee every time she knelt. One had a mark of surrender. He walked unnoticed on earth, but in heaven his name echoed like thunder. Another was marked with purity, and even when temptation tried to cling to her, it slid off as if blocked by invisible fire. These were heaven's markings, and they weren't chosen by design. They were forged by devotion. Jesus turned to me. You were never meant to mark yourself, he said gently. You were meant to be marked by me. And I realized all the ink I had carried, all the meaning I had assigned, was not the issue. The issue was ownership. Whose mark did I bear? Who wrote my story on my skin? I looked at Jesus, trembling. Can your mark cover what I've done? He nodded once, slowly. My blood is stronger than your ink. And then he did something I'll never forget. He placed his hand over...
Nou sê, ek gaan maar net tot daar gaan. Soos ek gesê het, hier is die tattoos en narre, die ander video wat ook 'n bietjie daarvan praat. En ja, dit is belangrik mense. Ons moet nie hierdie goeters doen nie. Ons as mense wat gelowiges is, ons weet daar's 'n geesteswêreld en ons weet daar is 'n oorlog in die geesteswêreld. Hoekom wil jy jouself nou ontbloot daar op die oorlogsveld met tattoos? Oop targets gee vir die vyand om jou te kan skiet met pyle en te kan steek met die swaarde en so aan. Hoekom sou jy dit wil doen? Dis hoekom ek sê, moenie hierdie goed kry nie, want jy maak net oop deure vir goed om te attach aan jou, vir slegte geeste. En laat Yahushua self jou merk op jou siel, soos hy gesê het hierso. En ja, dit is waar, ja, dis Yahushua wat ons merk, soos ons sien ook in die woord. Hy sê, sy merk is ons gehoorsaamheid aan die gebooie. Dit is sy merk op ons. So, jy mag nie ander merke op jouself sit soos jy wil nie, want jy behoort nie meer aan jouself nie. Jy behoort aan Yahushua alleen. So, daar het julle dit. Dis 'n lekker kort video. Geniet julle dag verder. Totsiens.